When a woman ignores you, your first instinct might be to fix it, to text her again, to ask what's wrong. But pause for a second. Why do you feel the urge to chase someone who's not matching your energy? Because your ego is hurt, not your heart. But when you stay calm, you recenter your world. You remind yourself that your peace isn't negotiable. You remind yourself that your emotions are valid, but they don't have to control your behavior. You start building a kind of strength that's silent but unshakable. Calmness doesn't mean you're numb, it means you're grounded. It means you can feel deeply without drowning in those feelings. It's what separates an emotionally mature man from one who still reacts out of fear. You see, emotional maturity isn't about pretending not to care, it's about caring deeply, but wisely. It's about knowing that chasing chaos only creates more chaos. It's understanding that sometimes not responding is the most powerful response you can give. Women are emotional readers. They feel energy more than words. So when you respond with calm energy instead of emotional panic, she feels it. She notices the difference. She realizes that your peace isn't fragile, and that realization alone changes the entire dynamic because most men are easily swayed. One text, one call, one silence, and they lose control. But a man who can remain calm in uncertainty becomes unforgettable. He's not cold, he's composed, he's not careless, he's conscious. And that kind of energy pulls people in without effort. Let's be honest, being ignored hurts. It bruises the ego, it shakes your confidence. You start to question your worth. You wonder if you weren't enough. But let me remind you, someone's silence doesn't define your value. Their absence only exposes what they can handle, not what you deserve. When you're calm, you give yourself the gift of clarity. You can finally see things for what they are, not for what your emotions want them to be. You begin to understand patterns, how people behave when they're confused, how silence reveals truth, how distance exposes connection. And instead of reacting to what's happening, you start observing why it's happening. That's the beauty of calm energy. It creates perspective. It helps you see beyond the moment. It teaches you that temporary silence doesn't require permanent anxiety. It teaches you that not everything needs a reaction. Emotional discipline is like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. Every time you resist the urge to react, you train yourself to lead with strength instead of emotion. Every time you choose peace over panic, you elevate your self-worth because calmness isn't weakness. It's self-mastery. When you stay calm, something powerful happens internally. You detach, not in a cold way, but in a conscious way. You stop needing constant validation. You stop trying to fix what's not asking to be fixed. You allow things to unfold naturally, trusting that your peace will protect you more than your reaction ever could. That's when your energy starts to shift. You begin to glow differently. You walk with quiet confidence, not because everything is perfect, but because you no longer need it to be. You've realized that emotional control is not about denying pain. It's about processing it with grace. And yes, sometimes she'll notice your silence. She'll wonder why you didn't react, why you didn't chase. She'll feel that shift in your energy and it'll intrigue her. Because calmness creates mystery. It creates space for reflection. It forces others to sit with the consequences of their actions while you sit in your power. When you act from calmness, you stop fighting for attention and start embodying attraction. Because nothing is more magnetic than someone who doesn't need to prove their value. You become the energy that others crave, stable, centered, grounded. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. That's what true confidence looks like. Not loud, not aggressive, but controlled and secure. It's when you can look at the situation and say, I may not have all the answers right now, but I trust myself enough to stay composed. That kind of self-trust is rare. It's built in moments of silence, in moments when your ego wants to scream, but your soul chooses peace. You have to understand every emotional reaction you control adds another layer to your strength. Every time you pause before replying, every time you choose to walk away instead of argue, every time you decide not to beg for attention, you evolve. You rise above the noise of temporary emotions. You step into emotional independence, where your peace is no longer tied to someone's approval. That's the transformation emotional calmness brings. It's quiet, but it's powerful. It teaches you that peace is not something you chase, it's something you protect. It teaches you that reacting emotionally might satisfy the moment, but staying calm strengthens your future. It teaches you that no matter how someone treats you, you always have control over your response. And once you master that, once you truly understand that your calmness is your power, you stop chasing closure, you stop needing explanations, and you stop giving energy to what's uncertain. You start protecting your peace the same way you protect your heart. You start realizing that the strongest man in the room isn't the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who remains calm when the world tests his patience. Because calmness isn't the absence of emotion, it's the victory over it. And the man who wins that battle wins himself. You notice it in the delay between messages, the way conversations feel shorter, the sudden emptiness inside moments that used to be alive. And immediately your instinct wants to fix it. You want to reach out, explain, repair, make them remember how close things once felt. But before you do, pause. Because the moment you start chasing imbalance, you abandon your own peace. Mirroring her energy is not about ego, it's about alignment. It's the art of understanding emotional rhythm, knowing when to move forward and when to stay still. Every connection has a pulse, and when that pulse changes, emotional intelligence means you change with it, not against it. Most people make the mistake of trying to compensate. When she grows quiet, they grow louder. When she steps back, they step forward. When she disconnects, they cling tighter. But relationships are energy exchanges, not emotional rescues. If one person keeps giving while the other withdraws, it creates pressure, not intimacy. Mirroring her energy is how you return to balance. If she's distant, you respect the distance. If she needs space, you give it. If she's unsure, you stay calm instead of convincing. It's emotional awareness that says, I will not fight for connection. I will flow with it. This approach doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care with clarity instead of chaos. It means you understand that love without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. It means you value peace over panic. To mirror her energy, you have to first understand your own. You can't mirror from insecurity, only from stability. So ask yourself, am I reacting from fear of losing her or responding from self-respect? Because mirroring isn't copying behavior, it's matching frequency. It's about keeping the energy exchange equal so both people can breathe. Imagine a dance, two people moving in rhythm. If one steps too far ahead, the flow breaks. But when both move with awareness of each other's pace, it becomes graceful. That's what mirroring does. It keeps the dance balanced. It's silent. Communication that says, I see you, I feel the shift, I'm adjusting too. When you chase someone who's retreating, you make them the center of gravity. Your world begins to revolve around their mood, their replies, their attention. You start reading meaning into silence and desperation into waiting. That imbalance drains confidence and replaces it with anxiety. But when you mirror energy, you bring the power back to neutral. You remind yourself that you're a whole person, not a reaction to someone else's distance. Emotional discipline begins here. It's the strength to sit with uncertainty without trying to fix it. It's the patience to let silence speak instead of filling it with panic. When you stop reacting, you start observing. You begin to see patterns, how people behave when they're unsure, how quickly interest fades when it's shallow, how calmness exposes truth. When she senses you're no longer overinvested, her awareness wakes up. Your stillness becomes a mirror where she can see her own withdrawal. She begins to ask herself why the energy feels different, why the chase stopped, why the attention she took for granted now feels missing. In that space, clarity is born. Let's talk about the psychology behind this. Human beings mirror each other subconsciously in body language and tone. It's how rapport is built. But emotional mirroring is deeper. It's when you align your intensity with the other person's emotional availability. Too much intensity towards someone who's unsure creates imbalance. Matching their pace allows emotional safety to reemerge. You, as though something you once relied on for stability has quietly disappeared, leaving behind confusion, self doubt, and a restless need for answers. But that moment, as painful as it feels, is not a punishment. It is an invitation to shift your focus back to where it always belonged, within yourself. Because when you place your entire sense of peace, happiness, and confidence in someone else's response, you hand them the keys to your emotional state. You begin to depend on their attention to feel worthy, their validation to feel confident, and their presence to feel secure. But the truth is, your power never truly leaves you. It only gets buried under the noise of distraction, under the emotional turbulence that comes from chasing what is uncertain. Rebuilding your focus is not about forgetting her or pretending you don't care. It's about reclaiming your center, redirecting your energy from what you cannot control toward what you can grow, what you can build, what you can elevate inside yourself. The first step to rebuilding your focus is to pull your attention away from her absence and back into your own presence. That means stop refreshing your phone, stop decoding every silence, stop trying to read meaning into every minute she takes to respond. Each time you do that, you feed your anxiety and starve your growth. Instead, look inward. Ask yourself, what did I neglect about me while trying to impress her, please her, or keep her attention? Because often when someone starts ignoring you, it's not just a reflection of their disinterest, it's a reflection of how far you've drifted from yourself. You stopped doing what made you magnetic. You stopped nurturing your dreams, your discipline, your energy. You became consumed with maintaining connection instead of maintaining direction. And this is the moment to realign. Rebuilding your focus means remembering that your time and energy are sacred currencies. The more you spend them chasing external validation, the less you have to invest in your personal evolution. Every time you resist the urge to text, every time you choose to go to the gym instead of scrolling through her social media, every time you redirect your thoughts from her distance to your progress, you are reclaiming power. You are proving to yourself that you can exist fully even in the absence of attention. You are training your mind to find peace in solitude, not panic in silence, because confidence is not built through control. It is built through clarity. And clarity only comes when you are no longer consumed by what you cannot change. It's easy to forget that the most attractive people are not those who constantly seek approval, but those who are grounded in their own purpose. A man who knows where he's going never loses himself over someone who doesn't see his worth, because his identity is built on mission, not emotion. So rebuild your focus by falling in love with your own process again. Pour that same energy you use to analyze her behavior into your own growth. Set goals that excite you. Commit to becoming better physically, mentally, spiritually. When you wake up with purpose, When you fill your day with movement, productivity, and growth, you begin to glow differently. That glow is not about ego, it's about peace. It's the kind of quiet confidence that says, I'm good with or without your attention. Every distraction in life is an opportunity to refine your discipline. The woman who ignores you might have unintentionally given you the greatest gift, a reason to look deeper at who you've become and who you're still meant to be. Maybe her silence was not rejection. Maybe it was redirection. Maybe it's the universe's way of reminding you that you were too focused on what you could lose instead of what you could build. Use that space to strengthen your mindset. Study something new. Elevate your fitness. Create something meaningful. Find passion in progress. The energy you once poured into proving your worth to her can now be the fuel that transforms your life. When you make peace with her silence, you'll start hearing the sound of your own potential again. Rebuilding your focus also requires emotional discipline. Your thoughts will try to drag you back into overthinking, back into replaying conversations, imagining what you could have said differently. But the truth is, closure doesn't come from someone else's explanation. It comes from your acceptance. Acceptance that you gave what you could, that her choices are hers, and that your energy deserves to be protected. So whenever your mind starts to wander back to her, don't fight the thought, redirect it. Replace the question, why is she ignoring me, with what can I improve about myself today? Redirect your curiosity toward growth, because attention follows focus. And the moment you start focusing on you again, the world begins to shift around you. When you rebuild your focus, you start to notice that peace feels better than attention. That consistency feels better than confusion. That purpose feels better than temporary validation. You begin to realize that no woman can give you the peace that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. You start valuing your presence so deeply that anyone who doesn't see it as a privilege automatically fades into the background. That's the kind of energy that silently commands respect without demanding it. That's the kind of confidence that can't be ignored. There's a powerful psychological shift that happens when you stop chasing and start focusing. You begin to radiate calm authority. You no longer seek answers from people. You find them within yourself. You no longer panic when someone pulls away. You observe it with detachment and let it reveal truth. You no longer need to prove your worth because your life becomes the proof. When you channel all that emotional energy into building your body, your mindset, your business, your peace, you become magnetic in ways that words can't describe. Because attraction isn't built through attention, it's built through vibration. People are drawn to those who are content in their own company, who have mastered their focus, who radiate inner stillness, even in uncertainty. Rebuilding your focus also means redefining what love means to you. True love doesn't require you to lose yourself just to keep someone close. It doesn't demand that you sacrifice your self-respect for the sake of validation. It teaches you balance, how to give without losing yourself, how to care without clinging, how to remain open without being dependent. When a woman ignores you, it's a perfect time to test whether your love was rooted in strength or insecurity. Because if it was strength, you'll rise higher. If it was insecurity, you'll start healing. Either way, you win. It's also important to rebuild your emotional routine. Replace the habit of checking your phone with the habit of checking your progress. Replace waiting for her text with planning your next move. Replace emotional reaction with intentional action. Because where your focus goes, your future grows. If your focus remains trapped in confusion, your energy becomes chaotic. But if your focus returns to discipline, to learning, to peace, peace. You start rebuilding a foundation no one can shake. Your energy becomes lighter, your boundaries stronger, your mind clearer. People will start noticing it. The same person who ignored you might even sense the shift because energy never lies. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to make her notice, it's to make yourself proud, to become so centered in who you are that you no longer need anyone to remind you of your value. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that her silence didn't break you, it built you. It redirected your energy from overthinking to self mastery, from confusion to clarity, from reaction to creation. You'll realize that the moment she went quiet was the moment life gave you a chance to get loud about your purpose again, and that rebuilding your focus was never about getting her back. It was about getting yourself back. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that her silence didn't break you. It built you. It redirected your energy from overthinking to self mastery, from confusion to clarity, from reaction to creation. You'll realize that the moment she went quiet was the moment life gave you a chance to get loud about your purpose again. And that rebuilding your focus was never about getting her back. It was about getting yourself back. When you rebuild your focus, your life starts aligning again. You move differently. You speak with intention. You walk with peace. You stop being easily shaken by temporary attention because you have something permanent: self-respect, self-awareness, self-control, the kind of peace that cannot be taken away when someone